In the journey, I returned to the land of my ancestors, Lithuania. And I questioned myself how to revisit, remember, transmit a lost heritage and a fading history. When Litvak Price invited me to participate to the Litvak Forum, she asked me, what does it mean to be a Litvak? Why is it important as an artist to work in the memory field? Am I a Litvak? Are my family's Litvak roots, back to 7 generations ago, enough to say I am a Litvak myself today? What is left of my Lithuanian, of my Jewish heritage? What is my legitimacy to talk about the tragic fate of the Litvaks in Lithuania? And can I express it in my own poetic way? Who am I to ask to remember? Can art help us to remember? I hope. This is a collective process each of us can or needs to take part of. I am not an historian, I am an artist rediscovering my Litvak roots and using multiple mediums, stories and layers to revisit and tell about this lost world. In this poetic journey, I'm trying to make visible what seems to be kept invisible. I am trying to keep the storytelling alive. In the late 1960s, an extraordinary genealogy research made by a British relative revived my maternal family history. Thanks to this cousin, my mother, then in her 20s, discovered that her family came originally from Lithuania and was Jewish, something that was hidden from the war and maybe even before in a French branch. She then reconnected with a large family spread around the globe, and sharing the same ancestor, the great Rabbi Buhai from Vilkomir, now Ukmergė. The family tree was rooting in Lithuania with 4 descendants, 4 branches, which scattered later on in the 1880s, fleeing the pogroms in that Baltic region and following the Jewish diaspora toward France, North America, UK and South Africa. While working on this project, I started to collect stories, photos and documents, gathering around the world a family archaeology from the past and the present. Most of my non-Jewish family was not in Lithuania during the Shoah. Most of my French family somehow survived the Holocaust and the war in France. Though since a child, obsessed with this dark period, I kept wondering, what if my ancestors had stayed in Lithuania? Would I exist today? Did any family member stay? What happened to them? What happened in that country? The journey is this dotted itinerary, theirs, mine, floating from the past to the present, from one country to another, from one family to a people's fate. Visiting today what remains from the Litvak world in Lithuania, the few Shoah memorials, the mass grave sites, the abandoned Jewish cemeteries and synagogues, the silent villages, meeting with a very few survivors, photographing these landscapes, witnesses of past atrocities. I faced not only the disappearance of the whole Jewish community from the pogroms to the Shoah in Lithuania, but also the loss of archives and the scarce official memory process in a country occupied and oppressed for so long. During my art residency in 2019, I visited the Kaunas Archive Center, and thanks to an incredible, knowledgeable and passionate archivist, I could trace back possible relatives from Ukmergė who were still living in the country in 1939. All of a sudden my heart raced. I finally found the contemporary connection I was searching for in this country. I could associate a name, a face, and a place all together. And sadly a tragic fate too. According to the most recent Jewish database in 2022, All but one from his Bugai family got murdered during the Holocaust. As we know, in 1940, the Soviets and the Red Army occupied the city, and in 1941 the Nazis came and mass shootings, the Shoah by bullets, started in the forests nearby. In the region of Okmege, more than 12,000 Jewish men, women and children were murdered in the Pivonica forest until 1943. While visiting Vilkomir no Okmege and the memorial site in the forest, I took this picture of a piece of moss growing above a mass grave, a symbol of what is still tangible today. The piece of moss strangely looked like a lung, a living element that grew from the past. This project of returning to Lithuania and explore artistically my Litvak roots grew in me for a long time, but really started in 2018, when I traveled back to the original land along with my mother and my son. 3 generations reunited there for the first time. We immersed ourselves in nature, looking for traces, places, faces we could relate to today. If we think a landscape history is intimately linked to the history of the people who inhabited and crossed them, what can these forests, fields and lakes tell us about the past? Which memory and feelings do they convey? My illuminated landscapes show contemporary landscapes of Lithuania, in which I pierced tiny holes with a needle, drawing faces, silhouettes, traces in those empty scenes. Those shapes are borrowed from personal family archives or invented. Hard to see at first, those delicate dotted drawings are revealed once the prints are backlit, the light shining through the holes. Those figurative or abstract patterns appear magically like imaginary memories, resurfaced from the past. I recreate scenes of an erased photo album in a very symbolic way. What is visible on the surface? What can be revealed once in the light? The journey explores the idea of narrative and memory layering, revealing and disappearing. We are made of stories we've been told, of places we've crossed, of memories we've been transmitted, and sometimes trauma and guilt passed in our DNA across the generations. The tearing gesture can echo the pain of exile and loss. The crease mirrors the fragility of memory and life. The superposition is a symbol of a multiple heritage shaping us at the core. My collages become allegories of time passing, of family myths disrupted and rebuilt. They are introspective spaces open to imagination. During the journey, I also had the desire to reconnect with this large family spread during the Jewish diaspora, to reconnect them to this shared history and to this country, Lithuania. I naturally imagined recreating a family tree here in Lithuania, a metaphorical one made of linen ribbons embroidered with the names of the women of his family. Thinking of Hannah, the only daughter of our ancestor, the great Rabbi Buhai, whose descendant line is kept so far untraced, I wish to enlighten and pay tribute to the women of the family, the brave and silent ones who carried us, the ones who transmitted, the ones we inherited our first names or Judaism from, the ones who passed, the ones who vanished from this family history. In 2020, I started the Ribbon Project, a correspondence and an embroidery collective project with the living women of my maternal family. I sent them a letter from Lithuania, explaining our relationship, along with a piece of linen ribbon and some golden thread to embroider a name of one of us. Many took the time to wonder and embrace my request and memory art project, relinking past, present, and future generations. This creative correspondence strengthened my faith in human and family bonding over time and miles. And I am very moved to display this family tree today, covered with floating names from the past and present, returning to the original land. A piece of resilience and remembrance, an invitation to reflect for passers-by, here in Kaunas, here in Lithuania. If the journey is a dreamy and intimate photography tale, translating a fragile, fragmented, and subjective memory, it echoes with an ineluctable, violent collective history. Between visible and non-visible, presence and absence, I evoke the disappearance and remembrance of a scattered or vanished community, exiled or annihilated. Filling the void and amnesia with light and poetry, I celebrate the lost ones. I revive, I reappropriate, I reshape a fading memory, and I invite the viewers to belong and remember with me.